Okay guys, this is Cruise Roy. A little loud in the background. I got my 3D printer going. I want to just go over where I left off last night. I can kind of blame Flywing for this, and I really can't, I guess, because I've been doing this long enough to know that you should test a few of the voltages before you start playing around. As you noticed in the last video, this thing started going nuts the minute I plugged the battery in. And the reason for that is, let's start from the beginning. All these companies like Futaba, they have the same connector that Flywing has, but if you notice, it's colored. Alright, it's colored for a reason, because red is hot, black is ground, white is a signal. Futaba's got the best system. And also, they have this little tab, I don't know if you can see it, but it protects you from plugging in the wrong way. This is a male-female. I can't plug it in, oh my god, if I force it I'll break something. So Futaba has the best system. If I put it in the right direction, boom, they plug right in nice and tight, right? So that's Futaba. Let me go to another ESC. This is the ESC I actually created for a Flywing helicopter. It's brand new. It's a Frankenstein ESC. If you notice, this one has a JR connector. Now some people would say it's tapered, but it's tapered on both sides on the top. So it doesn't really make any difference. And if you wanted to force it in reverse, you could. So even JR has a bad system, but what they do have is colors. We have a brown, a red, and a yellow. Yellow stands for signal, red is positive, brown is negative, alright? And here I got a Futaba. So even messing around with this, like I did this for a backup for the Flywing fw450, and if you notice, I took the red and black wire out because the tail only needs a signal. So white is a signal. Alright? So that's just to give you an example how other industries do their servos, wires, and the ESC wires. They're usually pretty compatible and they're in the same direction. Or even if they're not, you know to flip them and keep them all in the same direction. Now the H1, let me take the tail off of this. We don't need it. Don't need the tail in the way. All flight controllers or even receivers, even like this receiver that they use from, what is it, FR Sky or Fly Sky, they have denotations just like here. If you look at the H1 controller, which this is very rare to find, Google this, Google the H1 controller, see if you can find a picture of the actual diagram. It's not even in their manual. In their manual they show JR colors, which is, if you see their manual, it's actually JR plugs. And that would be for, I think the H1 Heli comes with JR, well they don't give you any free servo wires, but it comes with the JR setup, which is just like this. You'll see it in the manual where it's brown as the top, plus is hot, and then this weird symbol here is a signal, right? So I was tired. I work all day, came home, tried to do a long video on how to change the ESC. There's some things I found just now that I'm awake, you know, after my 10 cups of coffee today. But when I took this apart, I assumed, I'm looking at the wires here, there's the white stripe on the black wire. Now that's what I don't like. H1 advertises, and the pictures you see, they're running a JR colored system, but in reality everything is black and white. And I said, somebody said to me, well, if you buy the new servos they come as JR. I'm like, well, let's get to that. I just bought brand new servos. They came in 2 days ago with the ESC, and what color are the wires? They're all black, but they do put a little white signal line there. So to me, that's not negative. That's the signal. Servos need a signal, and that's the signal wire. The other two blacks are positive and negative. Signal with the white stripe. So That's the way they actually have it, even on their older Flywings. So of course, I'm doing this, not paying attention. Sometimes take a picture, a couple of shots, and you'll remember everything. The other thing I noticed, someone brought it up, I put the skids on backwards, but I just put everything together temporarily last night and hung it on my wall mount, and I'll take care of that. I do see that if anybody notices I'm backwards here. Actually, they look pretty cool that way, and they stick the tail up in the air so they don't hit the grass. So maybe it's a better idea. But anyways, every receiver and fly-by-wire controller, no matter what you buy, have a symbol like this on the side. So this receiver should be negatives all facing up. All right. So here I am, clown boy, you know, trying to do 2 videos after working all day and making supper. I look at the 3-wire, which is actually the ESC power, and you see the white line. So I assume, which I shouldn't have, white wire, bang into the ESC, and then I already knew that the single wire, which I didn't bother looking at it because I know single wire for Flywing and a bunch of other fly-by-wire controllers, that only have, this is because you only have a signal going to a motored tail, a tail with a direct drive. If you had a belt drive, you wouldn't have this. It'd still be a 3-wire. But anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, single wire, boom, I already know that faces down to the signal. So signal's correct, but the ESC doesn't use a signal. It actually sends power to the flight controller, to the receiver, and out to the servos. And so this one here, they did wrong. They should have put this white wire. This should have a white wire, and this should have a white wire off the ESC. But the ESC, I understand, is probably made in one factory. The servos are made by GDW, which I don't think Flywing owns. They just have a deal with them to get products, and that's the way it is. So technically speaking, like I said, I can even go to the old ESC I have here. Same thing. The white wire should be negative. But it's actually, it's actually negative. It's not, well, it is negative, but it doesn't go in the way that the servos do signal-wise. It actually goes the opposite direction, which is where I screwed up. So let me get back to this. So the white wire, technically, if you look over here, we need a negative for the ESC. So the white wire means the ESC's negative. So that's, well, first let's do the tail because that's the first one in line. The tail we know is just a signal wire. That weird symbol is a signal. Let's put it down here, push it in there. It slides in way too easy. You need to put some kind of tape here when you're done so this doesn't pop out. And then we're looking at this wire now. It naturally wants to fold this way. And guess where the white wire is? It's on the negative. So I should have caught all those things while I was doing it. I'm not going to blame it all on me. I'll blame 80% on me. But now that it's in the right position, I got to take my skids off. I got to retape. I got some of that cloth electrical tape. You know, little things that you need to disassemble that you're going to have to buy on your own when you change the ESC. So anyways, I got it in the right direction. Let me pop the tail in. I'm hoping you saw the video already, what this thing was doing. I am mad about, the other thing I'll talk about is the location of where they changed the ESC. Before it was over here. I make my own lipos, and now I just got to flip them over and stuff so they fit. And I have my bigger batteries, and I had to flip the power to the top instead of the bottom. No big deal, but pain in the butt. So another thing I had to do. I just want to show you people talking about the longer battery things that I designed. Look at this battery. you can see the main shaft digging into the battery. So pay attention to that. That's bad. That digs through this shrink wrap and hits the LiPo cells. You know, that's why we use the longer battery clips, all right? Just wanted to show you that because I noticed it. Because I got this is the factory thing. Also, what I wanted to tell you on mine, I had taken the motor apart plug and I reversed 2 wires. So my rotor head's going to go backwards right now. It's going to work, but it's going backwards. I have to go back to that. So before you go, oh my God, his rotor head's going the wrong way. I do know that, but the 2.5 and the 2.0, their plug is totally backwards. And that's right from the factory. So I had to do a resolder to make it fly. And that's why I bought this bird. Somebody bought the ESC, they put it all together, did all this wiring and all this crap, and the bird wouldn't spin. It would spin in the opposite direction. All right? So anyways, let me turn the radio on. Let's plug this in. See, now with this bigger wire, you have to tuck it in, get that out of the way. So at least it's less pressure on the ESC, but there's just longer wiring. Make sure your positive negative is correct. So now I should get the servo dance the correct way. All right, you see that? And last night I was getting some weird epilepsy thing and blah blah blah. And like I told you before, please do the servo check on your, you know, your top dead center, low, and then center. You know what I mean? Check that out. You want to make sure that's okay. Anytime you tear these things apart, you might have moved the servo. This is all plastic. One of the older Flywings, this was all metal, and even the 200 is metal, but this is all plastic with bearings in it, and it moves at a high. These are low head speed helicopters, but you know, things wear out, and I wish the 3 came with a solid aluminum head, but it don't. It's got some plastic head on here. But let me move some stuff out of the way here, make sure I don't hit my tail blade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go, we can't go GPS, going to blink all day because I'm inside, but I can go to 3D. Once it's on, I move the single lever over, it starts blinking. I'm going to hit the run switch. You notice my head's going the wrong way. All right, tail. You can hear the tail. No smoke. Starting to pull hard. Warning, warning, short. All right. So I got to check the engine speed and all that in the software. What I did last night, I freaked out. I thought something was screwed up. I plugged her back into the PC on 1.9 and I hit default. So all those beautiful settings that I've been flying with down a tube. I should have took a picture, but I ruined that part, so I'll have to tinker with it again. But I can show you again real quick. ESC new. Hold the stick. Let's get some blinkies. Hit the run. As you can tell, my motor's going backwards, so I'm going to have to change the wires again. Let me shut it off. I don't want to hurt the motor, but disconnect this, and you gotta watch pulling these. There's a lot of torque here. Let me take the battery out. I can shut the radio down. But what I gotta do is take this apart again. I do like this instead of trying to dig it out of the ESC, but if you remember, I did a video on how to put a 2.5, and like I say, I like this connector, this M60. I think it's called an M60. But there's 2 together. They make it look like this is positive, common, and ground, you know, but it's not. This is 3-phase. But if you always remember to use these 2 to swap out, it's easier to remember where you were instead of trying to change this one. But you can change any 2 wires, and this motor will turn the proper way. All right, so I kind of messed up, and I just figured I'd show you why. And this is Cruise Roy. I'm going to tinker with it a little more, and you guys be safe out there, and fly good, and I'm out of here.